we got to talk about Cooper Flagg. We got to talk about Duke. We got to talk about this team that John Shire has put together there in Durham. Tyler, I want to go to you first on this because you lived through a little bit of the kind of the hype train that Cooper is dealing with right now. Now it wasn't, I think that was even before Twitter when you played. So it was before like social media turned everything into living in a bubble. But you were a reigning national player of the year when you came back. You won a national championship. You were doing it at North Carolina. There plenty of ESPN coverage, Sports Illustrated coverage. What is he going through right now? Like how does that kind of attention weigh on you as an athlete?
It does have an impact. And the one thing I will say that when I was going through it in college, now me and Cooper kind of have a little bit of different hype. I mean, he's projected to be, you know, the top NBA pick. He's got all this NBA hype and potential around him, and it's kind of reminding me a little bit of the Zion Williamson when he was coming to Duke. A little bit, they're starting to hype him up like that. But as in regards to the hype, the best thing I can, if I had any advice for Cooper Flagg, I would tell him ignore it all. The only voices you got to listen to are in that locker room. Don't try to meet the expectations of the media or, find yourself looking at what people think of your game outside the program, because I kind of fell a victim of that. And pretty soon you'll realize as a player, no matter how good you play, people are always going to be critical of your game in some aspect. And you're trying to please the wrong people. So I would tell them basically stay in that locker room, keep doing your thing, be you, and don't try to prove people wrong.
Randolph, how good is Duke going to be this year? Like, it's a 17-year-old at the end of the day, right? Like it's hard for us to even bet on freshmen. And now we're betting on a dude that is 17 years old to come in and kind of be a fulcrum of what Duke does this season.
There's probably, we'll say, 3 or 4 teams in the country that we can say that legitimately can play 10 deep and quality of 10 deep. Like, you can take Duke's second string and they would be in the top half of the ACC. I think they're that talented. They're loaded. I think so. There won't be a problem. He'll have pressure because of all the hype, but there's so much versatility. There's experience around those guys. There's so many other guys on that team. And, we talked about this at Media Day. I think the only thing that's hype-wise that I think that people got to be careful of with him is all those other guys, those Duke guys that got all the hype were scorers. And that's not what his superpower is. That's not what he is. So if you coming in there thinking, like I've seen some people think like he's going to average 20 points a game, it's not an indictment on him. I think it would be hard pressed for anybody to average 20 points a game with that team. I don't think he will. I don't think that's his strength. He's developing his jump shot. There's other parts of his game offensively that he needs to develop. His defensive and everything else, unselfishness and versatility is way ahead of his offensive game right now. So that would be the only thing I would temper the expectations. You're hearing people say, oh, he's a generational talent. He's not a generational talent. He's hella good. He's hella talented. There's no doubt about that. But when I say he's not a Victor Wembanyama, he doesn't belong in that LeBron. He doesn't belong in those guys' category saying that he's a generational talent. But he's a hell of a player. He does a little bit of everything well, and he'll have a hell of a year, and he'll stuff the stat sheet with everything. A couple of blocks, steals. He'll probably be their leading rebounder, and he'll average anywhere from 13 to 15 points a game, I'd imagine.
Was that a hella good we got out of RC? Did you hear that, Henson?
Hella good. I like the hella. I agree. I think he's going to be really good. His impact, I think, is going to be off the ball defensively. He's going to be fun to watch, right? He plays with a lot of energy. I mean, they've got 2 consensus top 5 players. Talent wins. So Duke is going to be really good this year. Even Malik Brown and Caleb Foster, they got voted in the players poll as 2 of the most underrated players in the league. So they've got a lot of talent there. And how it fits all together is going to be interesting to see as Duke is kind of taking on this portal freshman model. But from a talent perspective, they should be right there in the mix toward the end of the year. And those freshmen are only going to get better, especially Flagg. I'm excited to see how they implement him in their system. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, they put a lot of like veteran pieces around him that kind of fit. Sion James, Mason Gillis, We got to make sure we mention Conca Nipple's name, just so that we can make RC squirm when he has to hear the name. But here's my real question.
He's really good too.
He is really good. Here's my real question though. So we spent a lot of last season questioning whether or not Tyrese Proctor was good enough to be the point guard, good enough to be the guy. Like, I don't think Duke can reach their ceiling as a team if Tyrese Proctor doesn't reach his ceiling as a player. RC, can he get there? Do you see do you see him making the leap? Can he figure it out? Can he put it all together?
He is what he is, John. I mean, I think that's the problem, Rob. He is what he is. And so when you say reach his peak, what is that? Like what are we saying his peak's gonna be?
Better than last year, right?
I don't think I said this last year. I think he's good. I don't think he's the guy that the expectations of an All-American and everything else thought he was going to be a year ago. I don't think he's that guy. I just think he can be good. There's enough talent around him that he could be good for what they need. He's not a late clock, put the ball in his hands, go hoop, go make a play for me. That's not his game. I mean, that's not his strength. So he's a heck of a defender. He's 6'5". He's a heck of a defender. He takes care of the basketball. He gets a lot of assists, but he's not breaking you down, creating off the bounce and forcing, rotation and kicking. He's just thrown over the top with his size a lot. I think if they're gonna, that's the only question mark that I have about this group is in penciling them in San Antonio is going to be what do they get out of point guard play, and I think that's where Cooper Flagg, because if you look at their team, you got Foster and you got Proctor who will probably start together. When you look outside of that, their next best decision maker will probably be Cooper Flagg. It has to be, the ball will be in his hand and making plays and stuff. So that's the only thing where I think they're vulnerable. They got size, they got length, they got athleticism, they got shooting. They should have the most collection of individual defenders as anybody has. But if there's one thing I think they're vulnerable is that just being able to give the ball to someone, break you down, make plays. Foster is trying to be that guy, but he's going to need some time. I mean, when I saw them practice and stuff, I think he can handle it, he can do it. But he's still a little bit sped up, a little bit rushed, and I think that's where their vulnerable are right now. But we got a lot of basketball to play to see if they can solve that because that's the only thing they're missing.
RC, I got a question. You saw him practice. How's the big fella look? The Maluach. Is he legit?
Wait, what's his name? Say his name again.
Maluach. What is it? Maluach.
It's come on, Maluach.
Exactly.
Maluach. Yeah.
Maluach.
Come on. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
He's gifted, man. He's really talented. He's what he's going to bring to them is he has a presence like a Dirk Lively at the rim. Like they got rim protection now, right? So he's going to play in drop coverage, and he has the length and athleticism to protect the rim. So he provides it. Offensively, they freed him up. He'll be able to take some jump shots. He'll be like Cooper Flagg. They'll knock down some threes. When they're knocking down threes, forget about it. But him handing it off, and you notice at your size, when guys like you and Tyler are running the rim and your lob threats there, what you do to the weak side defender and forcing him to come over, and with their size and shooting, like he'll just be what he is. He'll be a guy that probably at the end of the day, it'll be Ace Bailey, Cooper Flagg, and him kind of challenging for the top 3 picks in the draft.